Last Saturday's 43rd staging of the Gibson McCook Relays at the National Stadium in Kingston was highlighted by big performances from the athletes in the purple and white of Kingston College. Among the boys, of course, KC won 6 relays, while on the girls' side, Edwin Allen had 3 wins. Here to review the meet is senior writer at SportsMax.tv, Leighton Levy. Welcome, sir.
Hey, George. What's up, man?
I'm very well. So, the question, let's do this interview in reverse. The KC haters say, oh, every year KC does well at Gibson, only to get there, we're kicked by Calabar at champs. The KC supporters say, yeah, but this year is different because we look stronger at this point this year than we've looked in previous years. And so, even if we lose at champs a few weeks from now, it's going to be very much closer than it has been. Where does truth lie?
Truth lies in that very argument, George, because during the time I was on the stadium on Saturday, I had some conversations with people from inside both camps. And the consensus is, as opposed to previous years when Calabar was expected to dominate and win champs, the margin this year is 50 points. Now, it might sound like a lot, but 50 points is where generally within the region of where teams drop because of injuries or underperforming individuals or teams within each team construct. The consensus I get is that Calabar has a 50-point margin, but that 50-point margin does not give them any room to make mistakes at champs this year. And it validates the point that KC is stronger this year than in previous years when they're approaching champs.
So based on the level of probability and the buffer that Calabar would be going into these championships with, you're saying that there's almost no margin for error.
No margin for error whatsoever.
But that's also not accounting for the fact that for KC everything also has to go well.
Yeah, it has to go well on both sides for KC to swing the pendulum in their favor this year. That being said, though, when you look at the fact that Calabar is nursing a few key injuries. I noticed Michael Stevens and Desiree Russell competed on Saturday at the National Stadium. These are very powerful individuals in the number of points they'll bring to the championships for Calabar. Kingston College, as far as we're hearing this year, is relatively free of injury. I mean, as an athlete, you train, training is, no athlete competes at 100%. But as opposed to previous years, KC is very healthy this year, Calabar not so much. So therefore, the pendulum is almost swinging in favor of Kingston College, but a lot can change in a month. So, it's going to be a very intriguing month leading up to the championship, because Calabar's main objective this season is to win the meet coming up, the corporate era meet coming up, the digital Grand Prix, and of course go on to win championships. And those 3 competitions, which is one of the reasons why they kept their athletes relatively fresh on the weekend, that's their focus. Whether or not they can keep their athletes healthy through those meets going into champs is, it's up to conjecture, because you're not quite sure what can happen in that time competition. You never can tell what injuries might play out. And of course, similar for Kingston College, but right now it looks to be favoring Kingston College in terms of the possibility of unseating Calabar as the Martin McGuinness champions.
All right, back to Gibson now specifically. The top 5 boys' performances for you from Saturday.
Well, that's hard, George.
Or 3. Let's go 3 then.
There's 3, for me, the class 3 4x1 for Kingston College was, I thought they were really solid. I thought the class 2 4x1s also, with that graduating class from class 3 last year, for those not from the Caribbean, under 15s to the under 17s, I thought they were really powerful in that 4x1. I think 41-18, I think the winning time was. That was spectacular. I think, given the individuals on the teams were 1-2 in both the 100 and 200 last year in class 3 at champs, I think their performance augurs well for their performances at champs, individually and as a team. And I'd have to go with Calabar's 4x8 coming from 100 yards behind.
Mr. Farquharson.
And 2 amazing legs on the 3rd and 4th leg. And I was also impressed with Enid Bennett's medley relay win. They're a non-traditional school.
Formerly Bog Walk High from St. Catherine.
They're a non-traditional school. and they dominated each leg of that relay, which is not easy to do given the competition that they were up against. They led from the 400-meter leg, the two 200-meter legs, and of course, the 800-meter runner ran a splendid anchor leg to win comfortably and also break a record. Those, for me, were perhaps my top 4 performances. I think one of the things that I really liked about the Class 3 performance that I mentioned from Kingston College in the 4x1s was the fact that Wilmers were closing like a runaway train at the end. So it was really an intense race. And let me go back again to the girls' race where there were like 4 schools, running, damaging. They were killing each other at the end. There were just margins of millimeters separating first to fourth. It was, I think, that was the race that Queens won.
Yes.
Those I think come to mind as the more outstanding events for me at Champs at the Gibson Relays.
I was gonna segment the girls, but you went there to start. But let me ask you, not for the first time, we go into Champs season and of course into the Digital Grand Prix series, talking about the girls from the lower classes. It's rare that we are marveling about a Class 1 girl, and maybe that will change soon. But the Clayton twins from Edwin Allen,
outstanding girls.
The Kivona Davis gave us a little something on one of those relay legs. How impressed were you by what those athletes threw down at Gibson on Saturday?
Well, the Clayton twins they're almost legend already in what they've been able to do for Edwin Allen.
And Tina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are at this level right now, the outstanding talents for Edwin Allen, and I think they are going to be the big difference makers for Edwin Allen comes Champs. What you see from them are 2 girls, twin sisters, who are level
15 years old? Or 14?
14, just about.
Yeah.
Who are levels above the rest of the competition. That's the only way I can describe it. They are, when you're young and you're in primary school or prep school and you would say, okay, this kid is too fast, so you give the rest of the field jumps.
Yes.
They can give the entire Class 3 jump and still destroy them. That's how good they are. And it just tells you the foundation of what is happening at Edwin Allen. 5 straight championships now. They're going for 6 straight this year. These girls, you remember, are going to be there for the next 3 years at least.
Yes.
They will be the underpinning of what that successful team is going to be for Edwin Allen for the years to come. They're outstanding sprinters.
I haven't seen them enough lately to differentiate between who is Tina, who is Tia.
Yeah,
Ricardo would know.
I'm the only one. I'm not the only one who's having a hard time making that differentiation.
They're awesome. Kivona Davis.
Kivona Davis is my worry for her this year, and it's one of the worries that everybody who follows the sport closely is the fact that will she last this season? We saw her in Nairobi, Kenya just a couple of seasons ago, favored to win the 100 meters at the final World Youth Championships, finishing 3rd because of a hamstring injury. We saw her last year come to Champs and destroy Anisha McLaughlin's records, but then a hamstring injury threw her down again. She's been raced sparingly this season. So let's see whether or not she'll be able to last the season, because the season goes beyond Champs. There's Junior Pan Ams, and of course, there's talk that, I don't know how true that is, that maybe we'll see her line up at the national championships later on this year. So I hope she stays healthy, because what we see in the converse with Brianna Williams is an athlete her strategy and that of her coach Atta Bolden is for her to be at her best when it's required and not just through the course of the season and then falter at the biggest hurdles. So it's curious to see, I'm curious to see where the management of that particular talented athlete will go this season. But based on what we've seen from her so far, it looks like good things are in store.
So all in all, from the Gibson Relays on Saturday, you're saying that you are, well, I know it doesn't need much for you to salivate at the prospect of good track and field, good athletics, because you're an athletics man, but setting it up nicely for the Digital Grand Prix series. The Brianna Liston, we haven't spoken about her, Kivona Davis,
she looked rather impressive,
the Clayton twins, so many others, and then the KC boys, the Calabar boys, who we all know they're going to win the Digital Grand Prix series. You're expecting some keen battles to be fought over the course of the series.
Absolutely, and here's the benchmark that I use. The more recent records in the relays at Gibson Relays, 2017, 2018, you expect the margin by which those records were set. You expect them to at least last a couple of years. They didn't, which tells you that these guys and girls are getting faster and faster each year. And it sets up for very exciting championships, the Digital Grand Prix, and of course for Champs later on in the year. Because this is February, so they're probably just getting into speed work now to prepare for these championships, or they probably just started a couple of weeks ago. So you're expecting them to go even faster in a month's time.
Yeah.
So, it beggars the imagination to figure out just how fast they're going to go.
Two quick questions to close. Coming out of Gibson and what you saw leading into Gibson, you expect which two girls teams to fight out the finish at champs?
Edwin Allen is going to win.
Is going to win?
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
For the boys now, are you saying to me that if Calabar follows through on their threat to win and clean up the big prizes on offer in the Digital Grand Prix Series, if it is that they beat KC comfortably, or if the margin is small, will you use whichever way the result goes as a marker to determine what will happen at champs? Would that be the best indicator?
It would be a good indicator, because I think that's one. The Digital Grand Prix is one of the primary targets for this year.
Yes.
Also, of course, winning the 8th straight championship.
Yes.
How they manage the injuries that they currently have through that quagmire of the Digital Grand Prix Series and of course the corporate championships is going to determine how well they do at champs. They may have to go in without Leisure Russell and Michael Stevens, who are their two big guns. Christopher Taylor looks like he's in immaculate shape.
He's flying.
But he alone can't do it this year. So therefore, they're going to have to navigate that environment and get into champs healthy with their big guns and with their base coming through for them to be able to hold off KC this year. That's how it looks right now. And JC, I think, will have a lot to say about that as well. They have some injury concerns that we saw on Saturday.
Yeah.
Homewood has some injury concerns as well. We saw that on Saturday as well. So I don't know how impactful those injuries will be in the next 4 weeks. But what I can tell you, it sets up for a very exciting season.
Yeah, it was a fantastic event, the competition at the Gibson Relays. That is done and dusted. The Digital Grand Prix Series, the battles will renew there, and those battles will be keenly fought. Calabar have declared that they are coming to take the entire series because of the big prizes on offer there. And then they get down to the business of the annual Boys and Girls Championships. It will be tremendous action. For those of you in Jamaica, come out to the Digital Grand Prix meets, February 16 to March 16. For those of you in the Eastern Caribbean, if you can't get a plane to take you over to Jamaica to watch it live, watch it on SportsMax and of course on the SportsMax app. Thank you, Leighton.